Good day and welcome to Big Bad Tech. I'm your instructor Jim Pytel, and today's topic of discussion is timers executing the on and off delay function. Our objective is to introduce the on and off delay function and put it to use in some illustrated examples. This lecture operates under the assumption you've watched the timers on delay and timers off delay lectures, both available at the Big Bad Tech channel. If you haven't watched these lectures yet, or only dimly recall their contents, please take the time, pardon the pun, to do so now. Recall that a timer is a control device that exhibits a time-based shift between the assertion of its controlling input and the activation or deactivation of its associated contacts. Timers can perform numerous functions, including, but not limited to, on delay, off delay, on and off delay, flash, repeat or recycle, positive or negative edge-triggered one-shots, cumulative on delays, and more. Today's lecture deals exclusively with the on and off delay function, which should be a breeze because it's obviously a combination of the two previously discussed functions, on delay and off delay. Before we dive into an in-depth discussion of the on and off delay function, allow me to perform a brief walkthrough and review of common timer functions. My intention in doing this walkthrough is not to confuse you, but rather to compare and contrast their behavior with one another. Repeated exposure to this topic is the best tactic because similar terms are employed for different functions, and it'd be a horrible mistake to confuse one function for another. Expect me to revisit this exact same walkthrough of common functions every time we have occasion to discuss a new one in depth. Recall that a timing diagram of a timer executing the on delay or delay on energized function would look like this. When the controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not instantaneously switch to their opposite state. The normally closed time open contact remains closed, and the normally open time closed contact remains open. Only after the predetermined delay period T has elapsed do the contacts change states here. The normally closed time open contact opens, and the normally open time closed contact closes. When the controlling input is de-energized here, the associated contacts quasi-instantaneously revert to their normal deactivated state. The normally closed time open contact recloses, and the normally open time closed contact reopens. The on-delay timer could be used to turn another motor on a measurable time period after another has started. Compare this behavior to a timer executing the off-delay function. A timing diagram of a timer executing the off-delay function, sometimes called a delay on de-energize, or DODE, would look like this. When the controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts quasi-instantaneously switch to their opposite state, just like a regular control relay. The normally closed time closed contact opens, and the normally open time open contact closes. However, when the controlling input is de-energized here, the associated contacts maintain the asserted state. The normally closed time closed contact remains open, and the normally open time open contact remains open. Only after the predetermined delay period T has elapsed do the contacts revert to their deactivated state. The normally closed time closed contact recloses, and the normally open time open contact reopens. Note the different terminology and schematic symbols employed by the off delay in comparison to that of the on delay. They're opposite, as one would expect. An off delay could be used to keep one motor running for a measurable period after you turn another one off. Note for this general purpose orientation, I've purposely simplified the timing diagram of an off delay timer. Compare this behavior to a timer executing the on and off delay function. A timing diagram of a timer executing the on and off delay function would look like this. An on and off delay, as the name implies, executes a combination of the on delay and off delay function. When the controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not immediately switch to their opposite state. The normally closed contact remains closed, and the normally open contact remains open. Only after the predetermined delay period T1 has elapsed do the contacts change states here. The normally closed contact opens, and the normally open contact closes. This is the on delay portion of the on and off delay function. When the controlling input is de-energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not immediately switch to their opposite state, but rather maintain their activated state. The normally closed contact remains open, and the normally open contact remains closed. Only after the predetermined delay period T2 has elapsed do the contacts revert to their deactivated state. The normally closed contacts reclose, and the normally open contacts reopen. This is the off delay portion of the on and off delay function. A symmetric on and off delay timer means the on delay and off delay time period are equal to each other. T1 equals T2. To set a symmetric on and off delay timer would necessitate only one delay adjustment. In contrast, an asymmetric on and off delay timer means the on delay and off delay are not equal to each other. T1 does not equal T2. Timers executing an asymmetric on and off delay would require two independently adjustable delay periods. An on and off delay timer could be used to coordinate two motors such that motor B stops a period after motor A starts, then motor B stops a period after motor A stops. Note, for this general purpose orientation, I've purposely simplified the timing diagram of the on and off delay timer. Compare this behavior to a timer executing the flash function, sometimes called repeat or recycle. A timing diagram of a timer executing the flash function would look like this. When the controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts continuously alternate between the activated and deactivated state with a measurable period. Similar to our previous discussion about on and off delay timers, flash function might be symmetric, where the activation period is equal in magnitude to the deactivation period, or asymmetric, where the activation and deactivation periods are independently adjustable. A symmetric flash would necessitate only one adjustment. In contrast, an asymmetric flash would necessitate two adjustment points, one for delay period T1, one for delay period T2. The flash function could be used to create a super annoying warning strobe when a motor is energized, or perhaps timeshare a load between two different motors. Compare this behavior to a timer executing the one-shot function. A timing diagram of a timer executing the one-shot function would look like this. For a positive or rising edge triggered one-shot, when the controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts only temporarily assume the opposite activated state for a period T, and then revert to their deactivated state, despite the controlling input still being energized. This would be a rising or positive edge triggered one-shot, and essentially does exactly what the name suggests, and that the one-shot function is only enabled once for a period T on a rising or positive going transition of the controlling input. Alternatively, a negative or falling edge triggered one-shot is one that the one-shot function is only enabled once for a period T on a falling or negative going transition of the controlling input. One-shots can be used to assert an output for a desired time period following the energized or de-energized transition of another device. One-shots are particularly interesting because manufacturers occasionally include a slew of handy features, including resets and retriggerable versus non-retriggerable one-shots. Note, for this general purpose orientation, I've purposely simplified the timing diagram for rising and falling edge one-shots. Finally, compare this behavior to a timer executing the cumulative on-delay function. A cumulative on-delay timer is a record-keeping function where the timer does not temporarily shift the outputs, but rather keeps track of how long its controlling input has been energized. Only after the controlling input has been asserted for the predetermined period of time do the outputs respond. Note, despite the controlling input being discontinuously energized, only once the timer has accumulated the required delay period here do the contacts switch to their activated opposite states. Such a timer could be used to keep track of how long a particular controlling input has been asserted, and then alert the system that some maintenance or other task must occur. I like to think of cumulative on-delay timers as little accountants that keep track of how long the controlling input has been asserted and continually monitor how much time remains in the bank before it activates the output. Note, for this general purpose orientation, I've purposely simplified the timing diagram for cumulative on-delay timers. To be sure, there are other timer functions and twisted offspring of unholy unions of these common functions. However, these are more than likely the most common timer functions you'll run across. This orientation is intended to be general in nature and does not dive into specifics nor manufacturer idiosyncrasies. Be aware of subtle differences in different terminology used to describe the same features. Returning to the topic at hand, on and off delay timers, you recall that a simplistic timing diagram of a timer executing the on and off delay would look like this. An on and off delay, as the name implies, executes a combination of the on delay and off delay function. When the controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not instantaneously switch to their opposite states. The normally closed contact remains closed, and the normally open contact remains open. Only after the predetermined on delay period, T1, has elapsed do the contacts change states here. The normally closed contact opens, and the normally open contact closes. This is the on delay portion of the on and off delay function. When the associated controlling input is de-energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not instantaneously switch to their opposite state, but rather maintain their activated state. The normally closed contact remains open, and the normally open contact remains closed. Only after the predetermined off delay period, T2, has elapsed, do the contacts revert to their deactivated state. The normally closed contact recloses, and the normally open contacts reopen. This is the off delay portion of the on and off delay function. A symmetric on and off delay timer means the on delay and off delay are equal to each other. T1 equals T2. To set a symmetric on and off delay timer would necessitate only one delay adjustment. In contrast, an asymmetric on and off delay timer means the on delay and off delay periods are not equal to each other. T1 does not equal T2. Timers executing an asymmetric on and off delay would require two independently adjustable delay periods. While this timing diagram illustrates the on and off delay function in its simplest form, the truth of the matter is that not all timers are this simple. Being solid-state devices, the microchip conducting the timing operation often needs to be continuously powered up for the timer to execute the on and off delay function. The internal circuitry of the microchip would be responsible for keeping the associated contacts in their opposite state for the required delay period after the controlling input is de-energized. For this reason, timers executing the on and off delay function often necessitate an additional auxiliary controlling input, often illustrated as a coil with three inputs, A1, A2, and auxiliary input, or B. The coil from A1 to A2 must be continually energized for the timer to properly function. The auxiliary controlling input now serves as the initiation signal for the on and off delay function, whereas the coil serves to simply power the timer. Note, for the purposes of this general lecture, I'm trying to avoid getting entangled in manufacturer specifics. It is your responsibility to interpret the timing diagram for your particular multifunction timer of interest. A timing diagram of a timer necessitating an auxiliary controlling input executing the on and off delay function might look something like this. Given the device is constantly powered up using the A1 to A2 terminals, when the auxiliary controlling input is energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not immediately switch to their opposite states, but rather maintain the deactivated state for a predetermined on delay period, T1. Only after the predetermined on delay period has elapsed do the contacts change states here. This is the on delay portion of an on and off delay timer. When the controlling input is de-energized at this instant here, the associated contacts do not immediately return to their deactivated states, but rather maintain the activated state for a predetermined off delay period, T2. Only after the predetermined off delay period has elapsed do the contacts return to their deactivated states here. This is the off delay portion of an on and off delay timer. Note, if the input is de-energized prior to the on delay period elapsing, the timer would reset. A modified timing diagram illustrating this act appears here. When the controlling input is energized, the timer initiates the on delay. However, when de-energized prior to the on delay period elapsing, the initial delay is overridden. Only when the input is continually energized for longer than the on delay period do the contacts change states here. Ordinarily, on and off delay timers are not cumulative. We'll examine cumulative on delay timers in later lectures that keep a running tally of how long the input is discontinuously asserted. Additionally, note, if a timer necessitating an auxiliary controlling input executing the on and off delay function lost power to the coil during the off delay period, the timer would halt the delay and immediately return the contacts to their deactivated state and reset the timer. This allows an on and off delay timer conducting the off delay to be overridden by an emergency input for immediate stop purposes. A modified timing diagram illustrating this act appears here. We'll examine this feature in a moment. To set up a multifunction timer to execute the on and off delay function, a technician must first choose the correct function and then set the delay period. Here's an example of a multifunction timer with both a 2-terminal coil and an additional auxiliary controlling input. A timing diagram of this timer executing the on and off delay function looks exactly as I've illustrated. This particular timer can perform 8 different functions, A through H. To set this particular multifunction timer to perform the on and off delay function for a period of 5 seconds, a technician would rotate the function selector to function C, the on and off delay function, as illustrated in the table. Then a technician would choose an appropriate delay. This multifunction timer has a symmetric on and off delay function that necessitates only a single delay period adjustment. This particular manufacturer necessitates a 2-step process to adjust the delay period. First, select the range, and then adjust the range percentage. The range selection presents possibilities from 1 second up to 100 hours. The percentage can then be used to fine-tune the delay period inside this range. For example, 50% of 10 seconds would be a delay of 5 seconds. Note this timer has 2 indicator LEDs, one that indicates when the device is powered up, and another that indicates when the outputs are in their activated state. Unfortunately, it does not have an LED indicating when the auxiliary controlling input is asserted. This would be a great feature, but sometimes you've got to work with the tools you've got on hand. You know you set up the on and off delay timer correctly if you power up the device, assert the controlling auxiliary input at this moment here, wait 5 seconds, and then see the output change states. The on delay seemed to work fine. Check the off delay portion of the timer. We need to de-energize the auxiliary controlling input here, wait 5 seconds, then see the outputs return to their deactivated states. This timer seems to be executing the symmetric on and off delay function quite nicely.